Something we were talking about before we hit record was the idea of like, do you grow your own, or
Yeah.
do you hire? And then if you hire externally, what profiles do you do, and how do you think about growing your own within the SDR slash sales function?
Yeah. I think from the BDR role specifically, I think it's very important to have like a BDR career progression track because these are usually young people out of college that are, getting their feet wet in sales and business development, and they want to go out and actually, prove themselves and actually be eligible for like the next role. And usually that next role ends up being like an account executive, but for a smaller segment of the market, right? For small business or like mid-sized customers. So I think the BDR to small business and mid-market or commercial, if you will, I
Yep.
think I'm a big, big proponent and fan of having that be like an internal flywheel, and that helps with ramp time. That helps with just people who actually know the product and the capabilities there because they've done it, and actually helps accelerate. And usually in that segment, there's a lot of volume, right? Like in small business and mid market, a lot of these companies have a lot of volume there. So I think for that role, having like an internal career progression is like super, super important. The big question mark becomes, hey, you're going to go build a strategic account team that's going to go sell to Amazon, Netflix, Coinbase, and others, right? That's where you need to have some readiness triggers of figuring out like, hey, who from the commercial team is actually ready and enabled to go serve that side of the market because that's a whole different motion of multi-threading, navigating procurement, business value selling and things like that. And there's definitely some people there internally that can go do that. But usually, what I find is that usually tends to be a role where it's hybrid, where there's a lot more like external hires and people like internally that just need more time to bake in their role before they're ready to kind of take that jump.